The Galactic Assembly was a marvel of interstellar collaboration, a sprawling chamber of impossible architecture, bathed in shimmering lights that shifted with each speaker's tone. Hundreds of species gathered here, each unique and awe-inspiring in their own way. Towering crystalline beings refracted light in dazzling patterns, while amorphous creatures pulsed with bioluminescent colors, communicating in waves of light and sound. The air buzzed with a symphony of languages, some vocal, some telepathic, and others entirely incomprehensible to human senses. At the edge of this vast, chaotic order stood the human delegation. They were painfully aware of their status as the newest and least advanced members of the Assembly. Their presence was tolerated more than welcomed, a gesture of galactic charity rather than necessity. Humanity had barely scratched the surface of interstellar travel, their technology clunky and inefficient compared to the sleek, seamless designs of their peers. The ridicule wasn't subtle. The Zy'rak, one of the oldest and most revered species in the Assembly, were particularly vocal in their disdain. Massive, insectoid creatures with segmented bodies and multifaceted eyes, they exuded an air of superiority. Their leader, High Speaker Crothel, clicked his mandibles in what humans had learned was their version of a sneer. "The humans bring nothing to the Assembly," Crothel declared, his voice amplified by a translator. "They stumble through the stars like hatchlings, blind and clumsy. Their presence here is an insult to the legacy of the ancients." A ripple of agreement passed through the Assembly. Other species chimed in, their words less direct but no less dismissive. Humans were backward, ignorant, and unworthy of a place in such a grand coalition. The human delegation shifted uncomfortably. Some flushed with anger. Others avoided eye contact, their embarrassment palpable. Yet, in midst of this, Dr. Eleanor Grant remained calm. A linguist and historian, she had long studied the languages and cultures of the Assembly's members. Her sharp, observant eyes lingered on the Zy'rak, her mind dissecting their words, their tone, and their body language. The Zy'rak were proud. That much was clear. Their culture was steeped in tradition, their identity tied to a lineage they claimed stretched back to the dawn of civilization. Yet, as Eleanor listened, she caught something curious, a hesitation in their speech, a rigidity that suggested they were clinging to something fragile. Later, as the meeting adjourned and the human delegation retreated to their quarters, the mood was somber. Delegates vented their frustrations, voicing their humiliation and anger. But Eleanor was silent, her thoughts elsewhere. "What's on your mind?" one of her colleagues asked. "Something doesn't add up," she replied. The Zy'rak speak as though they're guardians of an ancient legacy, but their language, it feels incomplete, like a shadow of something greater. Her words hung in the air, unacknowledged by most. But for Eleanor, they marked the beginning of an idea, one that would change humanity's place in the galaxy forever. The Galactic Assembly was in full session, the air thick with tension as the Zy'rak once again took center stage. High Speaker Crothel's voice resonated with authority, his words laced with condescension. "The humans may wish to contribute, but their grasp of diplomacy and history is as primitive as their technology. We waste precious cycles entertaining their presence." Scattered laughter rippled through the chamber. The human delegation sat in silence, some bristling with indignation, others staring at the floor. But Eleanor Grant, seated among them, rose to her feet. Her calm demeanor contrasted sharply with the heated atmosphere. "High Speaker Crothel," she said, her voice carrying through the chamber, amplified by her translator. "With respect, I believe you underestimate humanity's capabilities." The Assembly quieted, more out of curiosity than respect. Humans rarely spoke in open sessions, and when they did, it often invited further mockery. Eleanor stepped forward, her gaze unwavering as she addressed the room. "Throughout history, humanity has sought to understand and preserve the legacies of those who came before us," she continued. "We value the wisdom of the past, even when others deem it irrelevant." Crothel clicked his mandibles, a sharp, dismissive sound. "Empty platitudes do not impress the Assembly, human. Speak plainly, or not at all." Eleanor smiled faintly, unshaken. "Very well.
she said.
Then, without warning, she began to speak in a language none had heard in millennia. The effect was immediate. Crothel froze, his multifaceted eyes widening in disbelief. The other Zy'rak delegates exchanged looks of alarm, their usual composure shattered. The rest of the assembly watched in stunned silence as Eleanor continued, her words fluid and deliberate. She spoke of unity, of shared heritage, and of the wisdom of the ancients. Her tone was respectful but firm, invoking concepts deeply tied to the Zy'rak's cultural identity. The words she chose were not random. They were fragments of their own history, preserved in the language they had abandoned. When she finished, the silence was deafening. For a long moment, no one spoke, the weight of what had just happened settling over the chamber. Finally, Crothel's voice broke the stillness, quieter now, almost reverent. How do you know these words? This language has been lost to us for ages. Eleanor met his gaze, her voice steady. Humanity discovered fragments of your ancient language long ago, discarded in the ruins of a derelict ship. While others ignored them, we chose to study them, to uncover what was forgotten. Your history matters, even if you have chosen to forget it. Crothel stared at her, his usual arrogance replaced by something else, respect, perhaps, or awe. You speak the tongue of our ancestors, he said, almost to himself. The language of the eternal path. Eleanor nodded. It was not easy, but we persevered. Humans have always sought to understand the unknown, even when it seemed beyond our reach. The Zy'rak leader lowered his head, a gesture of profound significance. You honor us, human. Perhaps we have been hasty in our judgment of your people. Murmurs spread through the chamber. For the first time, the laughter was gone, replaced by a new respect.